February 14th. We've got several orders of business, nothing terrible, but just business that we need to attend to. Just if you've got an agenda, I'll pretty much just go down the agenda. We had told Wayne Reynolds he had lost his truck in a wreck during the tornado and was just making do, and we needed to upgrade anyway, and so we've asked Wayne to pick out a truck and get a truck ordered, and buddy, did he go to work because it's already come in?
Yes.
So we need to appropriate a little money to take care of it. Wayne, is it what you wanted?
Very, very, very close. Very, very, very close.
Tell us what you got.
It is a 2021 Dodge Ram 1500, which has a trailering package. It has the all-terrain tires. It's very, very, very close to that.
How about the outfitting of it? Your radios and lights and stuff?
That's already in my budget, so I can be.
So we don't need to appropriate additional stuff for that?
Correct.
So what I'm seeing here, Miss Kelly, is $26,373.
I'm sorry.
Today is Monday.
I think we have an insurance check that should be coming in on that vehicle.
Have we already received it?
We have not, unless
No, I have not.
Yeah, no, we have.
Okay, so really, probably don't we need to go ahead and appropriate the full amount and write the check and then, put the money back into the account?
Yeah, that's what we usually do, is do the full amount and then,
Right, okay.
It was $26,300.
$373. Now, Wayne, do you have a preference of where we take that from, or as far as OEM or 911?
No, sir, I do not.
Guys, if you look at the 911 fund, we've got a little over $1 million in that, $1,095,000. And then under the Office of Emergency Management, I'm trying to pick up on that one real quick.
it's in kind of a hard account.
Okay, what's the balance on that account? Do you know?
County general?
Well, no, the balance on the 911 as far as, OEM as far as budget.
Like his full budget, I don't know off the top of my head.
Was there any problem with taking the call out of 911?
Not unless Wayne knows of a problem.
Wayne, is there any problem with taking it all out of 911?
No, sir. Not that I know of.
Then with your indulgence and permission, we'll just go ahead and take it all out of 911 since we already have over $1 million in that. That's okay. We're still leaving you plenty of money for upgrade, and we know your revenues are gonna build as the year moves on, so if that's okay.
Yes, sir.
So guys, what I'm asking for is an appropriation ordinance for $26,373 to come out of the 911 fund, account number 3020. Would anybody care to make such a motion?
I move that we appropriate that.
A second.
Got a motion and a second. Anybody want to talk about it? Cool deal. With a motion and a second, all in favor say aye. All opposed? Right, then motion's passed. We're scratching the second item on today's agenda. That's become a moot point. It's taken care of. The auditors have come to financial management and the judge's office, and they're asking for a procedural change in the way the county handles the budgets for the county library and the county hospital. You know, we've been doing the same thing for years and years and years, doing it the same way, and once in a while, they'll kind of say, you know, well, maybe we ought to do it different, but they've never really gotten on our case too much. But today, this year, for some reason or other, they've taken exception to that. Judge, you want to speak to it, or?
Yeah, the auditors had, they did not realize the relationship between the county and the library and the county and the hospital. So they came across that and wanted to change up the way that we move funds from one to the other. And I've spoken with the hospital, I've spoken with the library, they understand the changes, I don't think it's gonna cause any inconvenience on either party, it's just a little bit different way of transferring money from one account to the
It's
other.
just a paperwork change,
That's
really
correct.
all it boils down to.
That's correct.
You know, not changing the money that we spend on them or that they have available to them, it's not cutting their budgets or changing their budgets, it's just the way they receive their money, so. Kelly, how are we gonna do it now, what's the change?
Well, we're gonna have to budget revenue and expenditures for both funds. The funds are already established, but we do need to establish all the account numbers, so I have attached that to everybody's email. Peggy and I worked together on the numbers for the revenues and the expenditures, so it's basically gonna be pass-through money, just like she handled it, in the past, so that's what it will look like, the numbers, the revenues that are projected to come in, will just turn around and be paid right out, so.
So, as far as what we need to do today, what action do we need to just amend the budget in general?
Yes, and add both revenue and expenditures for both funds.
Can we do that in one, appropriation ordinance?
And then, Jake will probably just attach this
I don't see my copy.
as a signature.
Just a second. Jake will attach this to the appropriation ordinance, so, in looking at county library revenues, going down to total revenues, they have a total revenues of $808,294.91. They have the exact same, expense item, because we'll just simply be transferring that same amount over to them. And then the same thing on the county hospital, with total revenues of $3,235,844.42. And then, again, just a simple transfer over the same exact balance, over into the county hospital system. Our auditors will be happy, and they'll be off the judge's case, and off our case, and all will be right with the world, so.
And you said then that's a monthly thing that we'll do?
No, it's a monthly transfer?
It will be, so that will cover us for the whole year, just gonna,
Oh, okay, for last year or for this year?
For this year.
Okay.
We just do it one time for the whole year, but then as the money comes in, say there's a library tax.
Right, so but we don't have to appropriate it every month.
No, if you do this appropriation, that will be.
Okay.
Cover the whole
I
thing.
got you.
Kinda like doing the jail budget.
Gotcha, okay.
You know, we
Okay.
appropriate X number of dollars for the jail budget. Come on right here, Miss Betty.
Looking for Dr. Cullen.
Dr. Cumming,
Yeah, he's right behind me.
well, the turkey called me the other day and said he couldn't make it because.
Power went off at this place. Oh, well.
Well, we send everybody home.
It is.
Well, not excellent, but I'm glad he's here.
Will we have to approve their budgets?
From now on,
Every
here,
year, yes.
just in
It'll
our
just
budget
be
process
included
in the fall.
yeah, in the budget process, yeah.
A $3 million budget for the hospital system does not sound like near enough.
Well, that is after our debt payment is taken out. So everything that we receive for the hospital and turn around and give them is based on those numbers, like updated numbers. I think that, the report that y'all get every month at the sales tax report, it shows that yearly amount being a little bit higher than that, just the sales tax line. The sales tax line on there is like 2.5 million or.
$2,531,885.26. So what we're not having to budget, we're not budgeting their revenues that they generate as a hospital.
Okay.
We're just budgeting the tax receptions.
Okay, at first, there's more than $3 million go through that.
Now,
That's the gap between revenue. This is our part.
Okay.
yeah, property tax relief fund, trust funds for 45,000, local property taxes, 462,000. I'm just hitting the high points. Local sales tax, 2,531,000. So it's just the tax revenues that they're concerned about us generating, and we're not tracking their daily income from their hospital activities.
Will that satisfy the Lord?
It will.
I've always wondered, we've been written up
A time or two on that.
a time or two because
We never really considered them us, but they are, the auditors do.
They're very much us. The county owns not only the plant equipment, but the license as well. We just don't have day-to-day.
Hands on, fingers in the pot. Now it's time to ask questions, guys, if you got it. Either the judge or Gil.
Yeah.
Alright, so in that case, I'll be looking for, appropriation ordinance to the effect of the attachment, with the figures referenced in, regarding the county hospital system and the county library system. Anybody care to make such motion?
I'll make that motion. Pass that ordinance. To add that to the non-budget.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, so I got a motion in a second. So with a little hesitation, you don't have any reservations about
Oh,
this?
no, I'm sorry, no, I have no
She's tired.
reservation. No, I was just thinking, I'm sorry, I was thinking about the, so, does the library get any revenue from anywhere else?
Yeah. Oh, I don't know about anyone.
I'm sure they do, they don't.
When I worked there, that was the only income stream they had.
Okay, I was just,
The tax.
so we'll have,
Yeah.
so when they present the budget, so do we see the whole budget or just the remaining on the budget?
No, we'll see this and we'll see this, but that's all we'll see. Now,
I
if
gotcha.
you wanna get down to technicality.
No.
No, I'm not being any,
I'd like to hear that.
okay. So in the technicalities, if you look at the legalities, which are the technicalities, the hospital board is honestly required to provide the quorum court with a monthly statement of affairs. When they were in trouble and we were giving them monies on a regular basis, they were honestly providing those, and they came out of Felicia's office, which is the
Yeah,
hospital administrative secretary. And Felicia was always really good about it, and, they slowly and surely got back on their feet and got financially stable. And, I don't know, things happen, you get busy one month and forget to report it or provide it, and nobody complained, and the next month comes along, and the story short of it is that we haven't been receiving those for quite some time now because they haven't needed us. But it would be a simple matter of requesting, if y'all wanted to see that monthly report, a call to Mr. Logan, or Mr. Nichols, or Kalisha would promptly provide and start providing those reports again if y'all care to see. And that would include what their monthly income is as far as the hospital is concerned, their monthly expenditures. And it would show a balance sheet on it. So if anybody cares for that, we'll be glad to make that request. We'll make it through the judge's office.
Well, if it would clear up two things that were constantly written up on our audit on, by them doing that, then I'd be in favor of doing it, of seeing it. I mean,
The monthly report.
right,
Okay.
we're written up almost every time because the relationship is, you know, we don't.
Would you like to make that request, or you want me to call John?
If you'll just call him.
I don't mind it in the world. I really don't. And they've never been hesitant in providing it. It's just a matter of getting busy, and it's just all by the wayside. It's not a pressing matter like this. But I'll make that request. So, we have a motion and a second to, do an appropriation ordinance regarding the county hospital and the county library board's budgets, both on the revenue side and the expenditure side as per the attachment. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Okay, we'll see the appropriation ordinance on the other side. We've got an update on the Construction Fund and the Economic Development Fund's budget for 2022. Kelly, you want to kind of explain what we're talking about there, ma'am?
So when the 2022 budget was passed in November, there were some expenses that were paid out after that time and, and before the end of the year. So we just need to update that money amount to reflect that those payments were made. And, it really just affects the account numbers and the funds that, we budget, so it's not like, it's a carryover amount. So so we need to just make sure that carryover amount is.
That's correct, yeah. Like in economic development, it's workforce training, and then the environmental, soil, cultural studies that we do. Those two line items, and the reliable construction, it's construction in process, so just bringing that up. We dispersed $471,238 out of that. In the Osceola construction in progress, we dispersed $22,101.91. And then, in the mental health grant, remember we were zeroing that out and making the final payments to both Kelly and, Bo McCullough. So it's just a kind of a cleanup thing, a little premature, involving economic development, reliable construction, Osceola construction, and mental health. The workforce training was $36,144.58. The environmental, soil, cultural studies was $1,582.08. Any questions, guys?
I make a motion that we update the budget for 2022 in the construction fund and the economic development.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any other discussion, guys? Any questions, anything, Judge? Okay, with that, all in favor say aye. All opposed, like sign. Thank you very much. And we'll add that appropriation ordinance to, Judge, the extension service approached you apparently, and we missed just some minor line items in their budget,
That's correct.
and you'd like for us to add those back?
Yes, please.
And they're not big at all, and we just missed it. It was just unintentional for sure. Just like the office supplies, $300, operating supplies, $100, and service contracts, $530. So it's just a total of $930 we accidentally left out. And the judge was contacted by the Cooperative Extension Service, and both the extension and the judge requested we add this back, and I don't have any problem with it at all. So.
And just to clarify that, though, I'm reached out to the extension.
Oh, did you?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
I move that we appropriate those amounts.
First and second, all in favor say aye. Any opposed? Y'all let me move right along. One thing that Kelly had pointed out to me, and we just hadn't thought about, we were originally scheduled to move into the new courthouse when? So if y'all think back now, when we were moving out of the old courthouse, we moved the circuit clerk across the road, and we rented a building for it. And we actually rented 2 spaces across the road, but we thought that would end at least by the end of the year, and it hasn't. And so we need to kind of look forward just a little bit. We need some money to continue to pay her rent so we can get her back across the street.
I don't remember how much is it?
Kelly, off the top.
It's $11.25 a month, it's like $8.75 or something, $8.25 for the building, and then the storage is $325. Maybe it's it's $1,125 a month.
For the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, there it is, $1,125 a month. There were only 2 months of rent budgeted for the circuit clerk. Do we want to appropriate any more? I mean, we've got it covered for January and February, correct?
I think we should go ahead.
So we're gonna guess.
I would say,
Add another 4 months.
add another 4 months.
But if it's there, it doesn't have to be spent.
That's right, yeah, I think that would be safe.
We don't have a lease, do we? We
Yeah.
rent it by the month.
We did have a lease, but then once it expired, it was,
Just by the month.
yeah,
Once we get moved, we can cut it off.
yes, we just needed, I think it was just, the basic 30 days notice for.
Too bad the construction company can't pay for that. Pick that up.
They might.
They're paying for the storage, aren't they, for the current?
No, we're paying for all sorts of
So we got $1,125 a month, and if you think 4 months, that would carry us through June,
stuff.
and that would be $4,500 just in that circuit clerk rent line item. Judge, what you think?
I think that's the thing to do.
You think that's optimistic?
To do what, to extend it how long?
Through the month of
4
June.
months.
That would give us 6 months of this year.
Yes, I would think that would be at least what I would think.
So that'd be a guarantee from Holly.
You think more?
June 30th at the
I
end
think that's reasonable right now.
Okay, we can always come back and appropriate more if we need to. So if we do 4 months, guys, that gives us January through the month of June. And then we can revisit and see where we're at, how many more months we may be out.
That would be $6,750.
Ma'am?
Counting January and February.
Well, we've already got those appropriated,
Oh,
so we're just
okay.
asking for an additional
I thought we did.
$4,500, 4 months at $1,125 each. So with that said, can I have a motion, please?
I'll make the motion that we extend the rent money for the circuit clerk's, office space and then, $4,500.
Okay, we got a motion and a second that we appropriate an additional $4,500 in the circuit clerk's rent line item, to get us through the first 6 months of the year. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed by like. Then Kelly will add that appropriation ordinance, please, ma'am. All right, in our last finance committee meeting, we discussed an additional 10 cars for the sheriff's department, and we talked about taking it out of the revenue replacement fund.
Before we do it,
Okay, yes, ma'am.
This one, it says, unpaid health
Oh.
insurance claims, do we?
I've got a note on that, yeah. I did skip over that, I'm glad.
Well, no, I just
No,
didn't know.
thank
if
you, thank you, thank you. Let's drop back to that. Kelly, appropriate funds to finish unpaid health insurance claims. So what we did is last year, we appropriated $660,000 to do that in the 21 budget.
Oh, and it didn't carry over?
It didn't carry over. So we just need to kind of carry some of that over into the 2022 budget. Judge, you want to talk anything about where we're at on that? I'm not-
Yes.
You don't have to, but I'm sure open the floor to you.
Well, they have asked, for an additional contract, and it is very much similar to the first one and addresses this that we're talking about today,
It's $33,000 and change.
$33,000 roughly.
Mhm.
I've got Jacob that is, going over that contract right now. In fact, Tom and myself went over it this morning. We should have that prepared to be signed this week. So we'll forward that on if this money gets appropriated. And I think it's a reasonable request. And I think it falls in line with everything that we discussed earlier, what we hope to do.
So basically what the contract says is that Performance Health has done their negotiations. They identified in that contract the various pots of money that have gone towards, that can go towards the settlement of these claims. They've also identified some of the negotiation figures that they've come up with the various providers. And when you boil all those numbers down in the contract that the judge is looking at, the balance that the county would owe, and this should settle all of our claims, would only be a little over $33,000. But now that's in addition to the $91,000 that we've already paid. We've already paid $91,000.
So the $33,000 is going to pay
And it will-
unpaid claims?
It will go to Performance Health and go into the pot, and that's supposed to pay everything now. Am I correct in
That's
that?
correct.
All of the outstanding bills.
It is supposed to, that's correct.
So the total the county will end up paying about $125,000, is that right?
That's very close.
Which is what we had discussed way back and felt like that was a very reasonable figure for us to end up with. If it
I
turns
think
out,
that is a very good thing.
if it turns out that way.
Well, yes. If we can settle it and close it for that, I'm all awesome.
But the judge and I honestly share concerns about, once we pay this, the contract actually absolves everybody of everything at that point. But what if employee Jack comes up and says, hey, my hospital says they're not paid, who do I talk to?
Mhm.
So,
I would say that I would have some concerns as well. I mean,
we've got some concerns, but we don't know where else to go. I mean, we're here, and if we stop here, nothing's gonna get settled. So,
Because it's not in the book.
I mean, we have to move forward, so,
okay, Kelly, so with that said, we appropriated 660,000, we spent 91,000 or so. We know performance health wants 33 change. How much, you're not asking us to reappropriate the whole, about 550,000 now, or are you?
Well, I wasn't aware of
The
the
contract.
contract and what it says or anything like that, so I mean, if you feel comfortable that just appropriating that extra is gonna cover everything, then that's fine. Now, the 91,000 that you're referring to does not include what we paid when we reimbursed employees. So, in 2021, we actually paid out of that money $106,465.40. So, and I don't know what other employees are gonna turn in.
Bills.
Yeah, so, I mean, I think we've slowed down a lot on that, I don't have to
But
do
at this
more out
point in
there.
time, they've had plenty of time to turn
I
bills.
think so too.
Well,
I
they
mean,
have,
should we
but,
put what is that too? I mean, we're talking about
Like a limit?
unpaid claims from 2019.
Yeah. And here we are.
yeah, but I mean, just last month or so, you know, we had employees that, you know, we talked about this at the insurance meeting, we had employees that were to the point where they went ahead and paid it, and then we just turned around and reimbursed them, so I mean, that's still going on. I don't know how many of them.
And those claims we're not getting reimbursed from Performance Health.
Right, and we couldn't get an answer from Performance or Dave on what the status was on paying these people, so that's why the employees just went ahead and did it.
And we really don't, do we have any idea of how much is not paid?
Or what's
I just know what has been paid that we're aware of.
Now, here's another question. How much of those that we're getting are actually covered by insurance? How much of them should have been deducted like copay that would have come out of the employee's pocket? So anything we pay after this, we need to see if we got paid on.
I mean, you're saying that their deductibles or their co-pay, don't pay, those are already paid and these are bills for services? It should be,
That's
or-
what performance, that's what was originally in that 600 and something thousand.
Which is the claims, but not
Because
deductibles.
they could have owed an additional like 700,000. And because we had like $1,000 deductible. If they hadn't met the deductible, that is the employee's responsibility. And what we're trying to take care of, what the insurance did not pay.
Kelly, do you?
So at this point, my question would be, if it's coming in this late, the performance paid, the insurance portion, is this your portion?
But
So-
in 2019, a lot of the employees took out extra insurance to cover everything. Not, it was the deductible being met.
Okay, well, some did, but that would be the question, and we'd have to find out, because, I'm all for paying what the insurance should have paid, but let's face it, I had deductibles that year. I would have checked the pay, because I looked at my ELB, and my ELB said this was part of my deductible, and I had to pay it.
So that's what Kelly's trying to do. Kelly's requesting from any employee that turns in those bills, the EOB or explanation of benefits that would demonstrate how much was deductible and what they actually truly owe. So she's trying to vet it.
If they got a $10,000 bill they're saying they owe, then yes, most of that's probably gonna be insurance, but is there some of it that was deductible?
So Judge, we need to say 35,000 to clear the contract. What, you got a suggestion on additional appropriation?
I don't think at this time, I think we just need to cover this for the time being.
Make sure that we do
And
this.
see how this thing shakes out as we go forward.
Okay.
Shouldn't we notify, like, is there not a way to just notify employees that says this is, you have until X date to turn in anything unpaid, or that you, for
Well, we've
reimbursement?
already done that without giving them a date, we've already asked for it, but what's happening is they're still getting bills, they're still getting turned over to collections, and so, yeah.
We don't know how much of it
It's the same numbers.
is the lagging from performance health not getting them paid.
Is, when we fund this $35,000 to Performance Health, is there anything in the contract saying they have to have them paid by X date?
No.
So we're still, once again, not sure that they're gonna
pay them in time finally.
That's why the judge has our
And
attorney.
we have
look at it.
absolutely no idea how much the county still owes, right?
Well, I can figure that out, just based on what I know that's been paid. I mean, Dave Nichols paid some out of his own account, so I would just add that together with what we've paid, and those are the only things we're aware of, so, I mean, that.
And you've only gotten one of those from him, or is he updating that?
Yeah, he did update those. He did send us what we asked for on those. So he has paid 2 providers, we have paid 2 providers, and then we've also paid some employees.
When was the last update from him?
6 weeks ago.
I mean, we've really, the last time we had the meeting and asked him for the information, he turned around and got it pretty quickly.
Well, that's good.
That was, yeah.
Was that the sheet was?
Go, Tom.
He hasn't made a payment since that time I talked to them though, has he?
Right, those are the only ones that we know of that have been made, yeah. I mean, it's been a long time since we were aware of any payments made
Right.
to providers.
But now, he's kinda on hold until he gets his contract back from us. And
Why?
I guess he's
Don't
just,
trust
he's an attorney. And he's got a big pot.
Well, that's what I mean. I
He's
don't-
just waiting on our part to make sure that we're going to agree and go along with it before he starts dipping into his part of the pot too.
But we already
further?
have been, if we're giving 106 to our employees, that should show that we are paying. I mean, he's the one that's not providing us the information.
That's right, that's
And
exactly
taking-
right, and that's been the judge's gripe, that Nichols has not been providing us with the information that we've been asking for all along.
Mhm.
Very simple.
And we're just keep giving him money, so what if he's gonna have to turn around another 6 weeks, I need more money? And
It won't come from Nichols. Once this contract is executed, the request for more funds won't come from Nichols. It'll come from the employee that's in collections.
And that's a guarantee. He will not ask for any additional funds.
No, that's not a guarantee.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, it's not a guarantee.
And we'll ask that this check gets withheld until the contract is signed and accepted, and then we'll move forward.
Right, and I think in an update of what's been paid to see if there's any, so you think he hasn't paid anything in 6 weeks?
I think that's correct.
Well, that's terrible. I mean,
What about the
What are you
initial, like
saying?
when we initially had set up with him and he said he was going to start sending us a list of the employees' names and who he's paid?
so he
Did
did that
he do any
once.
of that?
That's what she said he did right after that
He
meeting.
did that once, but he
Right
has
after
not
the
done
meeting.
anything else, so.
Like the next day.
Here's a question.
Just once though.
When this was all set, with Gerber and everything, there was X amount of dollars paid by Gerber. And then we had a number of X amount of dollars, which was what we would have to pay. What was our number? Have we exceeded it, or are we still there?
We're kinda right there at it, aren't we?
I thought we were talking about 150,000 at some point
We
in time,
weren't.
that was what's in my brain, so if we're at 120.
We thought if we could get under 150,000, we
We would be
would do
We
well.
paid 106, that's 33, put us at
41,
141,
or, yeah, 139, 140, yeah.
So I think that we're right on target. If he comes back and asks for more, we're gonna have to see where.
Yeah. That's what was that, what, 15% of the original?
You know what I mean?
Arbitration,
I know.
but
he
you
has
know when
his
he's
hand
saying,
behind
we
it.
take less than you,
Right.
and that's not fair to us. And
I
that's
don't
not fair to our
sign any more contracts and go to arbitration.
No. Went to arbitration one time, told them we settled it for $4. What are we reading for? I said, "No." Good news for me is just, but anyway, I'm just.
Well, at least one thing, if y'all appropriate this money, then we can at least stand behind our employees and say that we are not the whole of it.
That's exactly right. But now, keep in mind, when you say if y'all appropriate this.
I'm not on this committee. If this committee sends it to the full board, you know what I mean?
I think think what we have to do is meet our minimum obligation, which is 140, 150. This is gonna put us right there in that
That
window.
wasn't really,
I'm
that
not on
was
the
just
committee
arbitrary.
either, but I'm gonna tell you that I support
Yeah,
going ahead and doing this so that we can get this.
I agree.
I think we need to move forward, that we're not the
Right,
stopping point.
That's it.
that was my point.
So with that said, may I have a motion to appropriate approximately, just make it 35,000 even, just so we got enough?
Well, and wait, and she needs some over there too.
Well, what I'm gonna need to do is, the numbers that I brought today were, the 106, 165, 40 is what was paid in 2021. We have spent some in 2022, so whatever number you decide on, I need to add that to it, because it's already been spent.
Okay, so we're talking 35 here.
Okay, and then I will let
Yeah,
you all know what that number
What-
is.
what's
It's
the
not
difference?
that much.
Like a, yeah, like this.
I don't know, 10,000 maybe.
Okay, so we can say,
So it puts us
Up
right
to
at the
50.
150.
yeah, up to 50. Would that cover it all?
Yeah, it says.
So what she's saying, guys, is she has paid a little bit in 2022 that needs to be added to the 35,000.
I kinda like her, I thought it was right at 150.
Well, this would put us right at
Put us
150.
150. If he comes back and wants more, we say, what happened to Dirk?
Right. We spent $5,060.63 in 2022 that was charged to the 2022 budget. So just on top of whatever
Okay.
you decide, we need to add that.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Should we,
Add a little bit more.
when we submit this check, should we ask for an update?
I think so.
Uh-huh.
Always.
For what?
An update.
Oh, yeah.
I think we should get an update prior
I
to
still think we need to have
giving any
a
money now.
time frame when they're gonna have it paid.
Of course, we may feel like.
I've been on the court now 14 months, and, we don't have a time frame yet.
And keep in
Kind
mind,
of like
that's
building the
one,
courthouse.
that's one reason why this is dragging on so long, is he's asked for this additional contract, which we're gonna make edits to. We're gonna have them accept that contract before we send them the money, and then we add in that we want the updated sheet before they get the money. And I'm not saying, all that I think needs to be done, that's the prudent thing to do, but it is what causes delays. And if they were at the table and coming forth in a timely manner with that, basically we wouldn't have to be here.
That's right.
Right now, you're right.
Right.
We'd have got it done last year with the first
Right.
appropriation.
That's exactly right.
So I need a motion that we appropriate, 35,000 to go to, Performance Health, to, execute the contract that the judge has requested, and then, add the additional monies between $5,000 and $6,000 that Kelly has already had to pay out of the 2022 budget, and she'll come up with a final figure for that. Anybody care to make that motion?
I move that we move forward with that based on what the judge outlined.
Absolutely. Do I have a second?
No second.
No, they did. He sent it to us. He sent it to the judge.
And it just said, we need these things in order to fill your
Well,
obligation.
honestly, the reason he was doing this is he feels like he's gotten, he, being Dave Nichols, and Performance Health, feel like they have gotten to the final figures, and they're just trying to wrap it up.
Is that how you think that, is that right?
There's more detail in this one than the other one, so I would assume that makes sense.
Oh, no.
But
That's kind of the way he puts it, but now there is some non-disclosure features in this contract.
Okay, so you've read it too?
Yes, I have.
Oh, well, I mean, if you're,
And
yeah,
he
okay.
did follow up after the teleconference, he did follow up, I understand.
He did,
So, wording it the way the judge put it,
absolutely.
if we say, here's the check, send us this,
With the additional stipulations. the
then
judge
he
has
should
added.
follow up.
Yes, I agree.
Okay.
So we've got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, aye? Any opposed? Good. All right, and Kelly, can you take care of that and get us a final number, please? And all I can say is keep your fingers crossed, guys, and maybe we can get this wrapped up as quickly as possible while being as judicious as possible and, covering the bases for the county. What else did I skip?
No. I mean, I wish the numbers.
All right, we've down to the last two items. One of them is, the sheriff had come to us earlier and asked for 10 additional cars. And we had talked about taking it out of the revenue replacement fund. Justice Jackson wanted to kind of run it through the ARP committee. And I talked with the judge, and just so we're all on the same page, that, rescue plan monies and the committee that the judge appointed,
So now it's all revenue.
now it's all, so what, the way it came in though, was we were getting approximately $8 million, and it had a 1,200 page booklet of restrictions. And it was very, very restrictive, and, they were being very particular about, we'd have to pay it back if we misspent. So we were talking about hiring a consultant that could have cost up to $1 million of the money just to pay the consultant to keep us within the legalities. And so the judge asked for a committee that would vet the projects to make sure that they made the legalities and fit within that, and to coordinate with the consultant. But now then, we turned around and the feds have changed the rules, and we can take all of that money and place over into the revenue replacement fund, which is much less restrictive. There are basically, and Monty, you keep me straight here, there's basically 6 categories that we have to avoid.
That is, yes, that's correct. It is, the revenue, now that it's all in revenue replacement, the eligibility is not near as restraining. However, the reporting is still there.
And that goes through the, treasurer's office.
That's, yes. And yes, there's some things that are just extremely straightforward, and then there's some things that are just not. And you have to just kind of weed through it a little bit. But I had just spent about 30 minutes on the telephone with Lindsay Hallman before I came in here, and that's why it took me a minute to get my computer, because
Talk together.
woo, you talk about wow.
Full of information.
I mean, she talks fast. I mean, she talks fast and says a lot and uses a lot of acronyms. So, yes, I don't know that I think the committee is still a good committee to keep in place for a lot of things. But for some stuff, I mean, it's just real straightforward. Like the cars are straightforward.
Okay, so
We
the
wanna
cars
do
are
that.
straightforward.
Yeah, the cars are still straightforward. We just have to report and get rid of them appropriately, which seems that part seems, it seems fairly simple.
So, when it comes down to it, and I'm gonna talk in generalities, we've got 2 major plots, and both of them approximately $8 million at this point in time, once we receive all the revenue replacement funds. But we've got a county general that's not restrictive at all, that's got $8 million, and we've got revenue replacement that's somewhat restrictive, it's got some hooks to it, but with about $8 million. So, in my opinion, if we're gonna do a project that fits the parameters of the restrictions, if we're gonna do the project, then when we have the opportunity to use the restricted money, we ought to use the restricted money. And then it leaves our unencumbered money for other things to.
Yes, I would wholeheartly agree with that. If there's something that is straightforward and we can use the money instead of county general, and it makes the reporting easier and it makes just life easier, I definitely think we should do that. And and then maybe some of the more, I guess, just complicated thoughts could, come out of county general, and then we might be away from a lot of the reporting. So yes, I feel like that's what you're saying. I'm in agreement.
Yeah. Judge, thoughts?
I think is the plan. I think that we use it, the revenue replacement funds as a first choice if the strings aren't too restrictive.
All right, now then, so that brings us down to the basic principle of 10 cars and approximately $400,000. at our last finance committee meeting, we tentatively gave the sheriff the go-ahead to kind of start exploring that and try to make commitments because time constraints and supply constraints. Is anybody wanting, do y'all wanna back up, or are we okay to move forward and make this appropriation?
What was it, 400,000?
I thought it was 300.
About how much is it?
385, 390.
Okay.
385, 390?
I have talked to, I'll tell you right now, I
Major?
talked to Morgan, and Morgan told me that he's gonna have, like, one of the cars that was wrecked, he's got some other equipment he's gotta replace. Some of them they need to add cameras to that they don't have. 400,000 would give them where they need with these.
No spotlights on something.
These 10 that they are buying off the lot all have spotlights. But like they're gonna have to buy some consoles because consoles are vehicle specific, cages are vehicle specific, radios and cameras are not, but you may need to add a couple of cameras. And those cameras are around 6,000 a piece. We've got another pot of money that some of that will come out of, but 385 to 400,000 will get everything that they need.
385, 400,000.
And this puts him back up to only needing what, moving forward now, what we were talking about, 8 vehicles a year?
Well,
Is that the cycle we're talking about?
Yes.
but in the past, we've only been doing 6. Is that right?
That's correct. So tell us, Rick, you've been working on this, and I know you have, and I haven't. Between you and the sheriff and Morgan and the major,
I talked to
we're
Morgan.
trying to work out a rotation plan where we can reduce the number of overall cars in the sheriff's department and yet keep them on a.
They're getting 18 total this year, the aggregate purchase plus the 10. 23 of those that they have now are going away.
So what's our total car count gonna
They're
be?
gonna be
Wait,
down
by
to
5.
55. Now, what you have to keep in mind, they have 44 officers that take home vehicles. Those are everyday use vehicles. Then they have transport vehicles that stay at the sheriff's office, which they use for transporting people to prison system, to court, to different doctor's appointments, things like that. They also keep us a reserve car, which is for the reserve officers who come in and assist them. And then they keep a couple for spares, just in case one gets crashed, one loses transmission, so they can get it back up and running. They have one that they can drive. They're eliminating, I know the one that they had for the office personnel, that one's going away. They had a couple that are wrecked. Basically, two of these are replacing those, and they will not be coming back. And we're working on the list. We'll try to give you a complete list of what's they're gonna keep when it's all said and done.
So what's the sustainable rotation program? That's, I think that's what Molly.
Approximately 8 a year, because what you have to realize, okay, the sheriff, and let's say the major over there, let's say they replace their car every 2 years. Well, they might have 30,000 miles on them. Those will go into CID. And later on, those CID cars will come back out and be traded off. This is keeping the main fleet that is on the road every day, newest cars. That's what you want to replace, those that are driven the hardest and the most about every 5 years.
But if you're keeping 55 cars, then you're on a 7-year rotation basis.
We're going, yeah.
If you're replacing 8 a year.
What you have to keep in mind is, and I'll use one deputy, after driving 2016, got 55,000 miles on it. The car's in good shape, there's no reason to get rid of it right now. It's a pass down from somebody else. One of the cars that we're gonna be keeping, and the sheriff will make an formal announcement, but they're gonna have a retirement from our Major Andrews, or Major Harris, I'm sorry. His car is like a 19 model, and it has like 30,000 miles. 40,000? somebody's gonna get that car, and basically they got a new car. Especially if they're driving one with 150, 200,000 miles on it. So they pick their 8 worst cars every year, rotate them out, and then they take some of those that are really good cars that might even be in patrol, but they're still low mileage, and move them to CID so they last longer. If you do it yes, you're truly good, rotating them out about every 7 years, but there's some that don't need to go out every 5 years. There's some that you could actually keep maybe as long as 10 years.
So then maybe 8 a year is too many at some point in time. I mean, at some point, we can't just keep, I mean, there's still a cost, even you keep them and they're good cars and they're low miles, but there's still upkeep and insurance and gas and other things that we're paying for.
Because you've got 14 road deputies that are putting anywhere from 25 to 30,000 miles a year on their car.
I was trying to keep.
And those are the ones that are going to rotate.
I understand that, but I just, it seems like at
Two
some point in
spares.
time, we want,
So
there might
that's,
be some three.
45, 47.
I just don't want the fleet to
Transport
increase
vehicles.
with older cars.
We're not going to
How many do we
we're
have
gonna
now?
keep it
Keep it at 55 or
and
below.
may
Okay.
even lower that as time.
There's no-
goes
okay,
on,
that's-
if you say that you don't need as many cars.
That's what I wanna see is going in that direction is
No, wait, okay, so here's my question. We have 44 officers with cars.
Well,
Is that-
take home,
Take home cars.
one reserve car.
Well, so, and then, but we have a total of 55 cars.
Mhm.
So we have, so where are those 11 cars?
Okay, there's one assigned to, there's 2 assigned to the jail supervisors.
2?
Yes.
They're not
2
take home?
spares.
You got 2
Yes, they
things.
take those home because they are on call to go back to the jail in the event of an emergency. They have an escape, they have a pipe
Like
break,
a car
they
for
have to
emergency?
evacuate a pod, whatever. Those 2 officers are on call so that they can get back to the jail quickly. You got 2 spares. You've already got the reserve car. You've got a transport van that sits out there, 2 transport vans that sit out there. When those go to the Cummins, they may have 11 to 12 people in them. There's like 16 passenger vans. And then you got 4 courthouse cars. These guys bring prisoners to the courthouse. They're there for courthouse security.
No, they don't bring them though. Aren't they on the little monitor?
And what?
The monitor?
No, sometimes.
But I mean,
I'm
somebody
talking about for
pull
circuit court where they actually have to be in court.
When they bring them into Sally Forts and pull them
Yes.
over to them.
And they have to bring people to court. They also, that the officers drive those up there. They're there so that if they have to, if someone gets taken into custody, they can take them to the jail. So how many are we at now?
44 officers, and 1 reserve and 2 spares, will be 47. 2 transport vans and 4 courthouse cars. There's another 6, and that puts us at 53.
And then you have 2 process servers. These are guys who go out and serve divorce papers, eviction notices, summonses for court, subpoenas for court, things of that nature.
I've just been keeping up with what Rick's trying to tell
the
us.
44 that they take home, do those include the SROs? Or no? Are they in the 11?
We've got 3 old vehicles that are at schools, 3 SROs, 1 at RL, 2 at Rivercrest.
Okay, so are those
Those
3 in?
cars are
Or the 11?
Actually, that
10
brings you
years
to
old.
47, those 3 cars are.
In the 44?
Yeah.
Or-
Well, no, they're
they're
not in
not.
the 44.
So they're in the 11.
I mean, we're all, I'm not trying to be ugly here when I say this, but I mean, it seems like nobody really knows where all the cars
Through jail,
are.
I think that we do better.
I'd just like to see it in a printout.
And I was wondering, maybe that's where the,
No, as
his
soon
spot
as,
comes in.
I'm gonna get with Morgan, we'll get with Morgan. He's got a list of who all's cars are getting replaced, and what numbers of vehicles they will have and what they
I'm
use
gonna
for.
keep it, I said 59.
I'm with Molly, I kind of would like to say that as well, just to.
Maybe, like, yes, maybe
More.
position and, you know, yeah. I mean, it
I'm
just,
gonna step out and remind everyone, I'm not trying to make anybody mad, but our job is to assign the budget. Sheriff's problem to figure out what he uses it for.
well, yes, if you're asking us for 400,000 additional monies to make sure that these cars are safe for the people on the road, and I feel like it is our responsibility to make sure that we are using this money to the best of its ability. And if we have too many cars, I mean, and we don't have a way to come up with a sustainable plan over the next 10, 20 years for the future, then I don't feel like we should appropriate this money. I mean, I'm not, at the end of the day, he can give anybody he wants a car. But I'm just saying, it's a matter of how many cars does he need to make sure that we're all safe and that we can continue to trade them out and keep our officers safe. And to make sure that they're outfitted with all of the newest and latest gadgets that they need.
And I get that, and that's what I'm trying to say. He's the one who has to figure that out, or actually more than George. I can't sit here and do that. I will get you a list when this is all, as soon as he gets everything straightened out. He's still trying to make sure how much equipment he's got. He's already picked out the 23 cars that are leaving. Right now, 2 of those are spares that are being driven because 2 of their vehicles are wrecked. And then the Toyota 4Runner was not on the list, but it is on there now, or will be when you see the list. I'm not trying to say that, we don't need to look at the sustainability, we do. But the sustainability of it boils down to 8 vehicles a year are about what it takes to keep them up for the past, and I've been here for 10 years. When I first started, they were getting 5 a year. We got it up to 6, but we were still falling behind. And if you look at those, most of those are assigned to patrol officers, those high mileage cars. And that is going to be a fact of life because they do drive more miles. When I was in the police department, I drove about 12,000 miles a year in my patrol unit the last 10 years I was there. But I had cars that would double that and sometimes triple that every year because of how much they drove inside the city.
Let me ask you this, if we got a list of the cars, the individual cars with the miles and purpose, would that help? What would you like to see?
Well, yes.
What would you like to see, Justice?
I mean, I agree with that. At some point in time, I agree with both angles there. I mean, we are responsible for the budget, and so I would like to see where I do not want to take away anything from our sheriff's officers that are on the road. But I do think maybe we have some clerical positions that have benefit of a vehicle that might be able to be cut down the road. So I definitely, before budget time, I mean, I believe that we need the extra cars now. But when it comes time for budget time at the end of this year, I definitely would want to see, all right, how many cars did we get rid of? We bought 18, so did we get rid of 18? You know what I mean? Like, to make sure that we're not just building our fleet up. Does that make sense? And increasing our overhead. I also think that the SRO officers, we always talk about that being a pass-through, but if we're paying for vehicle expenses and a whole bunch of other stuff, that's not as much of a pass-through as I thought it was, and we may need to look at some of our contracts with the schools. The school's got plenty of money, and some of that's going back to the state. I mean, if we're,
that needs to be added.
yeah, because,
But the other side of that is,
But, I mean,
some of those officers.
they just drive the car.
and I agree with that, but the schools, but why are the schools turning money back to the state? And we're paying for stuff for their SRO officers. That's just something to look at.
Weren't y'all looking at negotiating that into the contract? Cause I know I'd asked you to, but I didn't know if you started.
Well, no, I feel like this, I mean, I think we have to look at both sides of it. You know, like you said, we started off with trying to replace 5 cars a year, moved it to 6, now we're talking about moving it to 8. At some point, instead of just simply upping the budget and how many cars we replace every year, we have to look at how many cars do we need to make, to do this job. And I feel like that's, I think that's where we're going. I don't know that we've completed that discussion yet, but I think
We're working on it.
I think we have to look at the other side of that coin. I mean, what if next year we say, oh no, we need to go to 10, and then are we gonna go to 12 and 14? I mean,
I understand.
We should be buying what we need. If there's a year that we only need 7, we should only buy 7.
well, there's never gonna be that. But I mean, no, I want them to have like I told the sheriff in one of the other meetings, I think 125,000 miles is a good goal for us to do, and I want us to rotate them out, and I want them to be in the newest and the best thing that can be there, but I also want us to use our money wisely and only provide cars to people who, really need them.
Agreed.
So where are we at on this request for today?
I have no idea. I have no.
So if we got a motion in a second, would you move forward with it? Or do you want additional information and vote on it next
Yes,
month?
we don't have the cars, so I think we can wait.
Okay.
Yes.
So you'd like to table this for the moment? Is that where you're at with this? I'm not putting you on the spot.
No, it's okay.
I want you completely.
I mean, y'all know
in fact, I want everybody completely satisfied.
No, I've been thinking about this.
I do.
No,
That's why I'm asking.
No, I would like to table it until next month. I would make that motion with additional information.
So exactly, let's be specific, so we get what you want, what we all want. What information exactly would you like for us to put together?
I would like to see the cars that we currently have and the cars that we're getting rid of.
Would you like to see who is driving each one?
Yeah, their position.
Sure, the other position, that'd be great too. Yes.
Just I mean, I know you're not on this committee, but you are a JP of good standing and, we want everybody, all the JPs to be satisfied here because we are voting on $400,000.
Yes, I think that that's something that we should look at just to say we've done our due diligence.
Justice Ash?
I think they can supply that before next meeting.
Sure.
Is there a wonderful?
Okay, the sheriff says he has all that out the office and be glad to bring it.
He's already.
We've already passed it. The only reason we get these 10 cars is because the dealership had ordered 15 additional. He's told them that we're gonna buy them, so they're holding them for him. If they come in, they may call him and say, you got them, you need to come get them.
We ordinarily, there's someone that gets to be with the state police department. They get a heck of a discount on those cars. And they always get some extra ones. But what I didn't want to do is miss out on that fleet purchase.
That's what we're trying to not do. That's why we kind of gave him an informal commitment last month. But, the sheriff does say, justices that he does have this information out in the office and that he'll be glad to provide it.
And I don't have a problem with taking it out of ARP money.
No, and here's the other thing, so you could get, because like this year, we've committed, not appropriated, we committed to replacing 18. So we're doing the 8 plus the additional 10.
Actually, 2 of them bought insurance.
Okay, 2, right? Okay,
And then we bought 6.
okay. So we
But
should,
they've got a truck and a car that
Yeah,
were
we're,
both total.
as far as actually buying new, we're actually only buying or budgeting 6.
6, okay.
But with the 2 that got crashed, he gets 2 new ones.
But didn't we budget for 8? We budgeted for 8, didn't we?
No, we just budgeted 6.
Okay.
He's just getting 2 new ones. And
Well, I
that's
just-
standard, honestly. We tried to do 6 as long as we can. And when Rick came on and we only did 5, we were under budget constraints.
Right.
Previously, we had done 6, then we had to, we went 1 year down and we bought all used. That's what we can do.
That was before 2011.
Yeah, it was before 20, he did point that out. When Sheriff Meadows passed away and, Mr. Sanders was appointed interim sheriff, and he was trying to do the county a favor, he felt like, and he bought a bunch of used cars, but it turned around and kind of bit us in the booty and put us in a serious bind a little later down the road.
Those
So
cars,
it's taken us a while to dig out.
They were Missouri State Patrol cars. You know, the truth of the matter is, when you get through what Missouri does, that would be the best situation. 50,000 miles, that car goes to a lot, the state sells it, and they buy a new car, and they only lose like $7,000 a year on the car.
Well, I'm all for, I mean, I think, you know, I know that you guys have said this quite a few times, that, you know, we're the county, and I honestly believe this, the county is probably in some of the best financial shape it's been in a long time, and as ever, I'll go with Betty and say ever. But, you know, as I feel like the only way that we're gonna keep it in that good financial shape is to make sure that we're.
You're not getting any arguments. Nobody arguing at all. So, yeah. Okay, so we'll table this just until we get this other information and then plan on moving forward with it. And it's not a roadblock, it's not a no, it's not a stop, it's just due diligence and asking for additional information. Is that okay? Because it takes all of us, I mean, we all work together. And this committee just puts it forth to the full court for vote, at which time we've got to have at least 8 votes. So to put something that's not gonna pass, we need to put it together in the correct manner. All right, so, Mr. Henry put some handouts in front of you. And I think the judge is gonna speak to it, Judge, on this
Yes.
handout that Tom gave us, sir.
And the plan that has been chosen at this point is in the green right here.
Okay.
But let me back up and give a little history of how all this came about. You know, we've been working on coming up with a new website for various reasons. And it is we could save some money by going with Brooks Jeffries, and I think we're gonna get a really good website. I think it was the right thing to do. But at the same time, there was something else that coincided, was our email accounts were gonna have to be changed and updated. So this really fell in the judge's office, because we were working on the website. So what we've had done is we've had to work, instead of working on the website, we've had to work with each department, anyone that had an email that was associated with the county. So that has taken a lot of time and a lot of problems. The back page, where all the numbers are, haven't exactly made sense out of all of those yet. I mean, we're just talking about a few dollars. I mean, it's not a big thing, but what we've come up with is a first year investment of $4,000. You can see that toward the middle of that page on the left-hand side, last page. And so that's really what we're here asking for. Now, we can't be definitive over this number because there may be 1 or 2 other email addresses that comes in because all the departments is not sure exactly, all the personnel in all departments of what they're gonna do. But that is basically it, it's $4,000, and it would be divided up amongst the different departments in charge of their accounts.
Guys, got any questions? Ask him up.
And this gives everyone in those departments access to using the 365 business package.
That's correct. Yes. But you're dealing with a lot of different people, a lot of different departments, and so everybody doesn't, it's got kind of their own way. So it's as close to the number that we would need as the $4,000. I don't think it would run much over that.
Looks like 20 email accounts at the moment.
That's correct.
So everybody in the county would have,
I'm gonna let Mr. Henry, talk on that.
So this is the ones that are going to be under our domain. Like the sheriff's department, they're going to stay with their own domain still, right? So not everybody in the county is included in this, just everyone that's going to be under the umbrella that we need to make the change to. If that makes sense.
Mostly the courthouse accounts.
The ones, right. You know, the ones that are using our Mississippi County AR.org already.
Okay, like
So-
the tre-
so
like,
it-
like the treasurer, the elected officials?
Right.
Okay.
But if they're currently using Mississippi County Sheriff, or I don't know what the domain is exactly, well, they're staying where they're at, so they're not including this.
Okay.
That makes sense. So are we gonna, if we discuss with the departments, like requiring them to use this? Cause I know I've gotten a couple emails from like Yahoo emails and stuff, which doesn't seem kind of very professional.
We have been urging. I think that's the correct, does that describe your efforts?
Persuading, urging.
But we're not gonna force this.
And then
They call it Guido.
and then everybody with the email gets the office apps and, is that right?
Everyone that is going to be included in our Mississippi County AR.org that we're setting up will get the Office, the Word, Excel, PowerPoint, all that. Is there an additional defender here also?
Mhm.
And then one last detail that Norse is the one that's going to be coming and migrating, so there's not a skip of a beat from the old server to this new one.
Okay, okay.
And so it's not Tom going around and setting this up. It's going to be the expert Norse. Tech support will be Microsoft. And if there's a problem, Brooks Jeffrey if we had to.
Okay.
And we were doing this just as, because someone had to coordinate this effort. We didn't inject our own thoughts in it, except maybe in the beginning, we wanted to change the .gov instead of .org, but that was not gonna shorten the names of a lot of these email addresses. So I don't think it really mattered at that point. Some of ours are very long, but here we are. This is the plan that we've come up with. $4,000 may not cover it.
Yeah, but we can be flexible. Kelly, will we do this department by department, or can we do this as one item, or have you looked at it?
Well, if they're wanting to split it between departments, it would need to be
Broke
all
out?
the different, yes.
I mean, like if it's in Harley's office, charge Harley's part to Harley's office.
I can get you a list of who we're going to do, and then whatever you want to do on how.
I think that would be appropriate because we're dividing up some of the other costs of the counties per department and square footage.
And we're not talking, it wouldn't
We're not
hammer
talking about-
any elected official, except
No.
maybe Susan, But it shouldn't hammer any elected official's budget.
Currently, do these employees not have Microsoft, 365 where they are using the PowerPoint and all that? Do we need to go with that, or, 'cause this
So-
is for the email, correct?
so-
On that email?
Some have, some don't. Some are using Outlook, some don't. And Outlook's beneficial to get everyone doing the same for the
We're
purpose
trying
of
to
tech support.
streamline it to where it would go across all offices the same.
Like for instance, one of the
Right,
things.
but they're not gonna use, some of them, so let's just say like somebody in Kelly's department might not use it. Or they all have to use it, because you're not forcing them to
Well, on the Outlook, if they do not use Outlook, then they can't be guaranteed to migrate all of the past emails over. If they're using some other kind of, or whatever the term is, client or whatever. So the Outlook is very beneficial for maintaining the migration.
This
Well,
was
it's-
Scott was
and it's
getting
kind
way
of-
behind.
Because
Well,
the
I'll
first
tell you, like,
package
so
gets you
what
the-
happens, so with my Hilton account, like all Hilton hotels are required to be on this email.
And
We
we
have to
were
have those
trying
emails.
to,
And
we
so,
did
and we
spend
have
a lot
to
of
pay
time
for it. I
trying
mean,
to
this is about,
fit it exactly. But then
Also-
it changed.
and it includes the updates.
Exactly.
and-
Every time there's an update, it's included. You don't have to buy another
And I'll tell,
license.
and I'll tell you, they just added the encryption to it, to outside sources. I don't know that that's something the county would need, but I will say it makes it a secure, especially with county documents and things like that, would make it a lot more secure.
Carbon's probably a lot of these offices were already paying for a Microsoft Word.
That's what I mean, I was
license
just
at some point in
comparing
time
the
coming out of their
two.
budget. This way, it'll just, instead of them paying it directly, it'll come out somewhere else.
Right, so we wanna make sure that they are gonna, like, if they are using
they
it,
don't
not
pay-
to pay that extra
Exactly.
separate, because the first basic gives you the same thing, the second one, except it just adds the Microsoft.
And when Norris comes
So-
and sets up the accounts and migrates them, he's also setting up the office with them, so they'll know that it's coming.
Yeah.
And then they won't purchase it.
Separately,
Outside.
that's what I'm just saying, if they are purchasing it separate, because a lot of them probably already used it, so they probably already have
Right.
the Microsoft 365, you know,
So
it'll
this
just eliminate
4,000
that, right?
We're basically 20 people.
That's correct.
Because if they are paying.
How many total employees are in courthouses?
Of the 20 that this is gonna cover, how many are left with, that are not gonna be included?
Well, you know, the circuit clerk's office and the collector's office, and you know, they have some of these apprentice accounts, so they're staying with what they have. So I you know,
So would you have both?
I wouldn't think I would need both, would I now?
no.
So you'll be paying for your own Microsoft Office suite or Microsoft
I think that's all included, I may be wrong, but I think that's all included in my.
Agree to move forward in
Isn't it
principle.
hardly-
They'll wait to appropriate the money until they get a breakdown of
We get all those
who to charge
numbers
what
and
to.
Yeah, that works for me. Okay, I'm
Yeah.
with you.
So Judge, what we're talking about is agreeing in principle, let's move forward with this, approximately $4,000, whatever it ends up, but wait on the appropriation until we see who to appropriate what to, if we're gonna
I
break
think
it
that's an
down.
excellent idea, and then if you want to speak with the individual departments, it's like, Harlan and Susan are talking right now, we might be able to cut those back. But this was, a lot on the judge's office and our small staff.
Yeah.
Coordinating.
Yeah.
But this will get us moving in the right direction.
Yeah, those people that have working conditions, we're not trying to force nothing on them. If they got what works, we're leaving them at what they have.
So really, all I'd like today then is just a motion of agreement and approval to move forward with the process, and then to let them provide us back with the exact numbers of appropriations that would be needed, and they can go ahead and move forward. Can I get that motion?
I'll move.
We got a motion and a second to ask the judge's office and Mr. Henry to move forward with this process, and knowing that we'll be somewhere within that $4,000 range, but by the time we break it down to each office, we'll need exact numbers to know who to appropriate additional money to. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Judge, what else you got for us today, sir?
One more, and then I think that's all that I'll have, is, I met with the, Mullinax group Tuesday. And I also spent this weekend on the phone, Saturday and Sunday, speaking with them. I asked them to send a contract this morning, and they did. They came back with a fee arrangement of, $6,250 a month, or $75,000 a year. And that would move us on toward some of these things that we've talked about in the last couple of weeks. So,
Now, this is the state.
this is the state lobbying group, that's correct.
Have we appropriated that? We haven't, have we?
We have not.
Are we ready to go there?
Yes,
So we're looking at $75,000 a year?
that's correct.
So, okay, Mom.
Let
me back up.
I do think that this will also, is a clear cut for the ARP money as well, because it talks about technical services and giving assistance. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I'd have to look at it. Right.
I've been reading mine.
All right.
So,
Yeah, I'll read the services if you'd like.
right, but you know, in the overview, where it says we can provide, technical assistance, and I think it's public facilities. I think this would qualify as that, don't
It
you?
may, I'll read them if you'd like.
Okay.
And they specified it, that the services provided to client include, but are not limited to the following: support strategic planning of infrastructure projects to the county, explore opportunities, identify sources, and assist in the development of strategy to acquire funds from various sources available for local projects, coordinate communication with the governor's office, members of the General Assembly, state agencies, member of state and local task forces and committees appointed to handle disbursement of funds available for local projects. Meet with county officials.
No, I definitely think this is, when I was saying, it was in the overview that I was reading where it said we could spend the revenue replacement money on providing technical assistance to the communities, and I think this would,
Oh, I see, you're
You
talking about taking the money out of the revenue replacement.
I think
For
so,
the consultant,
for the consultant.
just as,
Well, on the Lux Shore water situation, contact's been made with the governor's office. And in turn, contact's been made with Jeff Morris, who's Senator Cotton's office. They're interested in our participation, but they think that we may have garnished $2.3 million with water. And so they will be here next week. They had a chance to talk to you, but people will be here next week, and we won't have to fund the whole thing, but they will be interested.
so in that particular project, they're looking at maybe infusing over $2 million out of state and federal funds?
2.3. State and federal funds. In fact, that's the estimate on the project.
Okay.
Well, 2.937.
Okay.
But keep that in mind that wasn't an estimate of this particular project. That was an estimate on similar projects in the past, so the price will vary.
Okay.
But yes, and I am grateful for Justice Cullum's work in this, and that will, I think, it will take away a lot of that.
What Lux Shore had already done is they'd already gotten an engineer to come in, see what equipment they needed, and throw a cost at us. I said us, I just made a telephone call because I know a bunch of people in Lux Shore. And contacted the governor's office, and in turn Jeff Morris called Cotton's office. They fit the category of a percentage of people that are in the minority income level. And everybody just jumped at that.
Yeah, low income,
And like I say, between Arkansas Economic Development Commission and Senator Cotton's office and the others, they've called 2 or 3 times a week the last 2 weeks. And their plan, and I'll let everybody know, is to be here next week. They'll let me know. They don't see any problem with funding, but they do like for us to participate.
And of course, I think this is an anomaly, what Justice Cullum's talking about, but the idea here is try to get some central group of people, because it's too big for the judge's office. I don't know any office in the county that's big to handle it, so if we had them kind of lead the efforts and guiding us on exactly what to do, so we won't waste our time with some of this other that maybe not come to
And they
fruition.
may be able to help us coordinate with.
Exactly.
What you have to do is nobody here, including the judge, is capable of knowing about this.
That's
So
right.
it's knowing who to call to give us the answers is important.
I agree 100%.
And once we do that, we can sit back and take credit for what somebody else did.
Well, this is a great way to maximize that ARP money, because you maximize based on your law of reproduction. You know what I mean? Like, we put our money in this, and then they go around and find all the different other money sources.
Which is kind of the second part of the conversation. I have not put any research in that, of where to take it from revenue replacement funds or not. But if it's applicable, just like we talked about.
Yeah, I was it seemed like when I was reading in every section that's, small business, nonprofit, public health, all of those, one of the eligible, ways to help them is to provide assistance, technical assistance, or, I wish I had it in
This
front
would
of
be
me.
like a professional fee.
Kind of, yes, like professional help,
To facilitate.
yes,
give
that's
us
right,
assistance.
yes. So to me, this would, we can double check it, but I think this is a real easy one to come out of ARP.
So are you gonna make the motion that we take $75,000 for the 2022 fiscal year to hire the Mullinex firm to assist the county in state revenue projects?
Yes.
And that's what you're asking for, isn't it?
Well, in this case, it's part of the federal, so,
Okay.
we state or federal.
State or federal? Does that sound good?
Judge, are they, I know basically they're state lobbyists.
That's correct.
And so do they coordinate, we had talked about hiring someone out of DC.
Yes,
Do they coordinate with
No.
someone?
no, in fact, we're working on that, we've got a meeting set Thursday.
Yes.
And I know that's dragging another little bit too long, but we're negotiating the contract.
When I was younger, man.
I feel like Thursday we'll have it, but,
What time is it Thursday?
signed by Thursday.
It's a Zoom call.
But that is a separate group that's
Zoom
gonna
call.
concentrate
Give me
really on one
give me
area,
a telephone.
that's the cleaning up. Or
Okay, remember y'all supposed to be at the library.
would be for state.
Developing services and basically these things, and also it works with cities or anything to coordinate.
That's correct. I made that very broad when I spoke to the first time, and that we would add to this as things moves on. In other words, right now, we've got much sewer, water, and Burnett water. I've also got a meeting next week with, or this week with, the city of Manila, the city of Blythe. And so the idea behind it is just to make our county a better place to live all over again.
So we have a motion on the floor that we appropriate $75,000 out of the Revenue Replacement Fund to hire the Molinex firm as a state lobbying agency out of Little Rock, I guess, Joe?
That's correct.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Got a motion and a second to hire the Molinex firm.
I think it's real, I think it's really, I'm gonna start bringing it, I read this down, a copy to everybody, it's just the overview is very short, and I think it'll kind of give everybody an idea of what is really straightforward, and this is, in my opinion, pretty straightforward.
Got a motion and a second on the floor, all in favor say aye. Any opposed? Judge, I have one other thing that Cindy had sent to me. The Medicare payments that we're making, where we paying the individual employees, did we not just appropriate 1 month?
Yes, and we have, I was gonna bring that up at the end.
We're at the end.
Okay, Jay, the last that I checked in with Jay, he said that he was going to be checking with AAC and then getting back with me, but I haven't heard anything, so I don't know if we need to go ahead and do this another month, or what do you wanna do?
Guys, you understand what we're talking about, people that are on Medicare, and we're, trying to take care of the employees, and we're paying them directly, and we only did 1 month's work.
And yes, I've tried after Dennis wrote, I read that booklet to say maybe 2 months, but.
So you wanna do 1 month or 2 months, or?
I think we need to talk to Jake and see where he is, maybe he's,
But
but yes.
we do need to talk to Jake, yes, but.
So
February's the month we did, right?
Ma'am?
February is the month we did,
Yeah.
correct?
Could we make an amendment to that ordinance?
That would be a great question.
I think he said we can.
But remember who,
I think he, yeah.
Okay, so
He
can
said
we
he could
just,
make an amendment.
then go ahead and give Jake the permission to move forward and then maybe put it on the agenda?
sure.
We just don't want the employees to fall behind.
No, I definitely don't want that, no, I think we should.
What is the reason that we're not going ahead and making appropriations for the whole year?
Yeah, why are we not just doing it for 12 months?
Well, I think that was y'all's decision, that we wanted to check into the, cash and lieu benefits so that we didn't have to pay taxes and retirement. That was what I'm understanding.
So is he still checking on that?
That's what
He's
we're talking
supposed
about.
to be, yes.
And he said he did not think it would take very long, but we just need to follow up and see where he is.
I emailed him last week and, he said that he had been tied out with court, but that it was on his calendar for the next day. And then he called me after he spoke with Mr. Eddie Jones, and I haven't heard from him yet, so.
So would you mind approaching Jake again and asking him to figure out where we need to be and then get us to the full court Tuesday night? Please?
Do you want him to have that ordinance
Yes.
ready and just, okay.
Whether it's an amendment to the previous ordinance or a new ordinance. But we just don't want the employees to fall behind. Do you have anything else?
Well, I'm not sure what is the Molinex or whatever it's called, the lobbying firm that you've already done the $120,000?
No, different deal. That's a federal deal that the judge is gonna meet with on Thursday.
Okay.
This is a whole new lobbying issue, whole new firm, different types of projects.
Okay, so do you want an ordinance this week for the,
Yes.
next week for the 75,000? And you
Yes.
want it to come out of ARP? That's-
Revenue
or
replacement.
revenue replacement.
Anything else from your office?
I don't think I have anything else.
Miss Susan, you got anything now?
Well, it's not just my office, and I know I say this all the time, but y'all, something's got to be done about that courthouse at Osceola where the birds roost. That is so nasty.
Case of shotgun shells?
That'd be good if we get somebody down there to shoot them. But it's disgusting. It's embarrassing, is what it is. I mean, it should embarrass everybody on the court, everybody that works in the courthouse now. I don't know if any of y'all have been down there, but you need to go look at it. It's really bad.
Any remarks, Joe?
She's not exaggerating. We can clean that front steps of that courthouse off on Monday and on Wednesday. It looks just like it did, and it's a health hazard right here in the Delta. With histoplasmosis.
There's enough there, maybe I'll get a fertilizer company to buy it from us.
And I don't believe.
And they're pigeons, is that right?
Some kind of birds, I don't know what they
Pigeons,
are.
well, it doesn't make difference, pigeons are dove, but pigeons are the major, offenders.
And we do have a plan that we think will take care of it, but we're trying to wait until we get through with the Bible project before we move back to the Osceola project. But, we're coming up on spring, and I don't think this is gonna cost a lot of money. We wanna go ahead and move that up. I don't think that would be a bad idea.
Okay.
Which plane did we land on? I forgot. We were talking about some spiky things or something.
Spiky things on the top of the Corinthian columns, that's where they're roosting. And I think we can also we've got a way to get to it through the city of Osceola's electric bucket trucks. I think that
Oh,
would
that
reach
would
it.
not have to use the scaffold.
The scaffolding was one of the things that was holding it back, cause it's like $40,000 for the scaffolding. The architect has also got a plan that's maybe a little bit different from this, but we can get back with him. And I do not know how much money that is left that is not already encumbered, and I don't know what our contingency is. Justice Jackson, do you have any idea?
We still have quite a bit of budgeted money
I'm
left.
thinking it's probably less than $400,000.
Yes, it's less than that, but, I mean, surely enough to pay for the birds.
Could that money not come out of this rescue fund?
No, I'm just kidding.
We don't know.
We don't know what it can.
I mean, I'm sure it is some sort of public health something, but yes, no, there's still money in the, we have to use the courthouse money on the courthouse, so we should
We need to use
use,
that
I
first.
mean, we should use it. So, because we still have, it's like $235,000 left unappropriated or left undesignated, and then there's still a little bit left in the contingency, I think, $30,000 or something. Yeah. And that's not inclusive of the move back money, that's still, there, and.
$250,000 for that.
Yeah, it's quite a bit. Mhm.
Mr. Trainer, if you'll put that on our schedule, then we'll contact the architect and see if we can't come up with the best plan, and
Do something.
we'll do something. The money's already appropriated, so I suppose when we do get that information, we'll come.
Honest? That committee doesn't
Well,
have any problem?
it's not appropriated to Osceola. I mean, it is,
That's correct. We are trying to keep those books separate.
so we would just, I don't know if you can do that, I mean, but.
Well, I tell you, we'll, when we come up with some definitive information, we'll get back with your committee and schedule that, and hopefully we'll be able to get that done and going pretty quickly.
I wanna say the original when it had all the bells and whistles, it was almost $30,000.
I was gonna say 40, yeah, somewhere in there.
Somewhere, okay.
Judge, you mentioned Osceola had a bucket truck.
I'm sorry, Osceola.
Osceola, okay. If that's not available, like the Delta, as a public employee. Charles,
Moody.
they have a public right.
I think between the two of them, we should be able to find something that will reach. We'll have to pick the time of year where we don't mar the landscaping out.
County Assessor Harvey, do you have anything for us, sir?
No,
That would probably be now.
they're pretty wet.
Sheriff, do you have anything else, sir? No. Judge, anything else, sir?
Not on my list.
Any JP?
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Internet service is evidently split up to the different departments and everything. We only have one little old computer down at the landfill, and we get a lot of big bill every month.
Well, the way that
Is it divided equally or?
well, I mean, the best of our ability, I would say yes. The
Okay.
landfill has extra charges compared to say the road department, because the landfill does have to connect to that SQL server and at the courthouse, and all the scale information that comes through that software has to be sent to the courthouse server. So they're being charged as if they were like another office in the courthouse. And
That was what I was comparing to, you know, I don't realize the extent of what all goes on with it, but I know, you know, all, the other offices have a lot, we just have one little old.
I know, it feels that way, but there's a lot more that goes on out
Okay,
there.
we're
than
gonna
that.
That one little computer's.
We're gonna pay our bill.
Guys, thank you for a good meeting. It's been very productive. We'll see y'all next Tuesday night at the Osceola Courthouse. Osceola Courthouse. Sir?
One more thing.
Yes, sir.
Let's discuss where a number of us is here. What are we gonna do about the times that we're going to meet at our court meeting?
There was a question brought up at the last meeting about that, so I'm very flexible personally, but
I just suggested
I don't care.
as long as after six,
After 6 o'clock, I don't care how much more one.
6 o'clock, well, he's talking about a regular,
Saturday.
Yeah, I'm just adding things, I'm talking about all of it.
would 6 o'clock,
6 o'clock.
if we move to 6 o'clock during these short winter months? Is that what you're asking
Can we
about?
just
Judge?
go, I don't understand the short winter month, can we not just do it?
I'm just,
I don't care.
If we're gonna move it, I think we should move it for the full 12 months, cause I think that's confusing for the public who wants to come to the public meeting.
Judge, you have a call? They're talking about moving it the whole 12 months from 7 to 6. I'm not opposed.
I'm not opposed to that.
Is anybody opposed? Justice Cecil is really worried. He has been so quiet today.
Just make time.
You got any opposition to 6 o'clock,
I
sir?
have nothing to say. No, 6 o'clock works for me. 6 o'clock works.
You know, I don't know, this is finance committee, so I don't know, other than coming out of your office, what official action needs to be taken. We got 9 out of the 11 here.
Well, and this wasn't my idea, I'm just bringing
No, I
this
know,
on.
but not, it's not a finance committee issue per se. I don't know what it would be, but other than just, 9 of us saying we're all in agreement if you wanted to make a change through your office.
I think that would be fine. Well, let's do that then, let's try that, let's say on a temporary basis right now, and if everybody's happy with it, then we'll make it permanent.
And, you know, the only real change is just notifying the press.
That's correct. And so we'll do it this Tuesday at 6 o'clock
At Osceola.
at Osceola. Mr. Henry, would you make sure that they
Look at all of
Be fine.
Next Tuesday. Next Tuesday.
That's what I mean, everybody's like, let's change it on our calendars.
Okay.
The 22nd, filing day.
So, with all that said, guys, I'll say thank you very much, and we'll call this meeting adjourned.
Yeah.